Section 12.4 is property of the log functions. In this section, we are introducing some formulas that you need to use this formula in order to do the problems. So like this is one. I put some pages here from the textbook so you could go through the example. And this is a second formula. And the third. So what I did here, I summarize all the formula into one page. What we have is this. The first formula shows how to take one log and expand it to 2 logs here. This is expansion, go from 1 log to 2 log. So you could always separate. All right, show you the examples here. Like we are using the book, use MN with the letter of A. It really doesn't matter what letter you use. Like here, I use X and Y. But anyway, the first formula is when you go from 1 log and expand it to 2 logs. So log of 29 times 11 is log of 29 plus log of 11. So log of X times Y is you just separate each into 2 logs. This is go from 1 log to 2 logs. There are 3 letters. How do I go from 1 log and expand it? So because there are 3 letters here or 3 variables, you expand it into 3 log. So it's log of T plus log of U plus log of C. And one thing in the formula, they all have the same base. I didn't put the base here because it's 10, but we want to make sure they all have the same base. Now, what if you want to do it backward? You want to go from, let's say now you want to go from 2 log to 1 log, like this formula here, that log of L plus X. If you want to go from 2 log to the single log, you do it backward, means is log of LX. Or here, if you have log of subtractions and you want to change 2 log to 1 log, in case of subtraction, if you want to change it to 1 log, would be log of fractions. So log of 14 minus 11 is a subtraction, and you want to change from subtraction of 2 log to 1 log. So it will be log of 14 over 11. It's strictly based on the formula. See here? Log of subtraction is equal to log of fractions. Another formula we want to discuss is this. So here we have this. So far we have, if you want to go from log of multiplication to log of summation, you're using this formula, and you could do it backward. Means if you want to go from log of summation to log of multiplications, log of fraction is equal to log of subtractions, or if you have log of subtraction and you want to change it to 1 log, it goes that. The other one is, one of the property of log is you could always take the power and move it to the front and backward. Okay, so you could always take the exponent to the front and you could do it backward, like this problem's here. Problem number 4, I can always bring this 1 over 6 and move it to the front based on this formula or the one I just showed you. I can use the different letters here. So as long as you understand that you could always bring the power to the front, or you could do it backward. So that would help you to do problem number 4. So here, which formula do we use for this one? We want to expand 1 log to 2 log. Okay, so it would be log of X7 plus log of Y4. And then you could use this formula and move to the front. So this is the first steps, right? And then you move 7 to the front and 4 to the front. So that would be the final answers. So you change from you expand from 1 log to 2 log, and then you bring all the power to the front. In case of log of fractions is always equal to log of subtractions. According to this formula, log of fraction is log of subtraction. So here, log of fractions is log of numerator minus log of denominator, y for z. And then we move all this power 3 and 4 to the front. But before we do this one, take this back, you have to do this first. This is log of multiplications, right? But now what you need to do is you need to open a parenthesis first and then do that. Means here I'll open a parenthesis and then log of multiplication change to log of summations. Then you bring the negative and multiply. So do not just write this as log of 2 logs because of this negative. So save the negative out of the parentheses, change log of multiplication to log of summations, then bring the negative and multiply, which is minus and minus, and then I move the 4 to the front. So this is the final answers. So this is a problem that has log of fractions to log of subtraction first, and then you just do this one also to log of summations, and then you bring the negative sign. See? So here is the fractions. Log of fractions is log of subtraction, which is log of numerator minus log of denominator. So you do that first. Log of numerator minus log of denominator. Then you need to expand this. Log of multiplications is log of summations. But for that one, before you do the expansions, you have to put it in a parenthesis because of this negative sign. So in the parentheses, you do this. In the parentheses, you write it like that, and then you bring the negative and multiply. All right? When you do that, then you move all the power to the front. So to get the final answers. Now this is the radical first. So what I do is I just write it as the whole thing is to power of 1 over 6. Why? Because if you have, let's say you have something like this, big X2. You could write it as like X, I don't know, X 5, 6, for instance. You could write it as 5 over 6. In algebra, we have a formula that if you have something like that, if you want to move the base from the radical, you write it as x to power of n over m. So I have here radical 6, and let's say x5, yc, z5. I put a parenthesis around it and I put a 1. Okay? Then that would be x5, y6, z5, the whole thing to power of 1 over 6, according to this formula. That's how we go from this to that. And then you multiply this to the power. Remember, we have x to power of n to power of m is x to power of n times m. If you have more than one exponent, you could always multiply. So this is 5 over 1 times 1 over 6 is 5 over 6. 6 over 1 times 1 over 6, 5 over 1 times 1 over 6. All right. 6 over 6 is 1. Then log of fractions is log of subtractions. Then again, in front of the LOG, there are two variables, y and z. You have to separate it. Bring the negative sign, and then move the power to the front. This problem has everything. It's kind of has a lot of work to do on this one. Convert to the single log. Log of summation is equal to log of multiplication or product. This is easy, just 9 array. You want to change it to any time you want to go from 2 log to 1 log. What you need to do is first, see the formula here is, let me show you this first. If you want to go from sum of log to just 1 log, make sure you don't have any number in the front. See, all of this formula, like these two, do not have any number in the front. So if there is a number in the front, first I have to use this rule and bring the number to the power. So here, I write a formula here. I'll bring the 2 here and 4 here. Then log of summation is log of multiplications. See, you go from 2 logs to 1 log. But in order to use the formula, you have to bring all the coefficients and make it as a power according to this formula. Again, you could use any letters. You know how I use N, X, A, and here I have P, M. They all are the same. As long as you understand the rule is that this number in front of the log can always be a power and backward too. So here I'm using the same formula with the different letters. Again, before I do these problems and I use the formula, I have to bring all the numbers and make it as a power first. Okay. Now there is no number in front of the logs. I'll factor 1 or -1. Then this one, log of summation is log of multiplications. So these two convert to that. And then log of subtraction is log of fractions. Problem like this, they ask you to calculate log of 36. And what they give in the problem is, see, I cannot use the calculator because it doesn't give the b, but they're saying log of 4 with base of this is this, and log of 9 with base of b is 2.197. So what I do is, these two are given. So I change 36 to 4 times 9. Then I use the rule of log of multiplication is equal to log of summations. Then I have all these numbers and I'll substitute it here. See, here they ask us to find log of 1/6 with base. 1/6 is 6 over -1. Remember, 1/x. 1/x, you could write it as x to the power of -1. So 1/6 is 6 to the power of -1. Then I'll bring the -1 to the front. Log of 6 with base of b is given in the problem. This is given. They're also given 5 and b, but we don't need that one. So you took that one and put it here. So in the beginning, 1/6 is 6 over -1. You bring the -1 here, and then log of 6 with base of b is given. Have problems? Log of 13, log of 4 and log of 9 are given, but there is no use because I cannot break 13, so they cannot really do anything about these problems. So that was the end of this sections.